Hey everybody, it is Pat from the Recaps. I am the voice that you're going to hear for about 98% of the videos that you'll hear on this channel. But today we're giving you a spoiler-free review of the Peacock Original Show, Twisted Metal. So Twisted Metal is the new show from Peacock, but it's adapted from a video game from Sony's PlayStation. If you haven't played Twisted Metal, I loved it growing up. Twisted Metal 2 was one of the first video games I had, but I was very, very hesitant to dive into this, especially after it got announced. Because if you've ever played the video game, there's not a lot of storyline to it. It's a demolition derby to the death. You drive around with these characters and these cars and you destroy the other ones in different environments. That's what it is. You just go from city to city and you destroy similar vehicles. So adapting that to an actual television show, the video game doesn't have a lot of plot. And we've also seen movies try to adapt from a video game and they've struggled. And some of these movies and some of the video games, they actually had legitimate plot lines behind them, unlike Twisted Metal. So I was a little bit reluctant to go into this one. But to give you a little backstory on what the television show is about and the whole background of the plot, it focuses around John Doe, who is played by Anthony Mackie. Now, John Doe is what they refer to as a milkman. A milkman travels from city to city being a delivery driver. Now, you might be asking, why is the post office not a thing anymore? That's because back in 2002, there was a nuclear war that took place. So now you've got a desolate wasteland, but you also have some outposts. You have New San Francisco, you have New Chicago, Topeka, ironically enough, is one city that is thriving. You also have Las Vegas. But in the middle, if you're not lucky enough to be one of the residents of one of those cities, you have a destruction like no other. And it's a very deadly environment. So Anthony Mackie's character, John Doe, travels from city to city, outpost to outpost, and he delivers goods. He has no recollection whatsoever about his life previously. He basically woke up one day after the great fall that happened, and he was just in a car. And then he had to pick up his life and figure out things. The only thing he has is a picture of himself with his parents, he thinks, but his parents' faces are burned off. So this guy has just been living his life for the past 21 years, having no idea where he came from, his real name, anything. But he decided that he was good at driving, so he picked that up, and he's been delivering ever since. The problem with being a milkman is it's very, very dangerous. Milkmen do not live to be old because it's just so deadly out there. Everyone's trying to kill you. You have police still trying to police, and then you also have vultures who will just kill and try to scavenge off of your remaining body and then whatever else you have. So the fact that John Doe is so good at his job is pretty important. I mean, it's a big plot point because New San Francisco comes calling because they've noticed that John Doe is one of the only people, the only milkman ever to come back multiple times. Most of the time they have trouble finding new milkmen because they just die off. So when Anthony Mackie and his character end up arriving at New San Francisco, he gets word that the mayor of San Francisco, a woman named Raven, wants to talk to him. And she proposes a deal. So she wants him to drive to New Chicago, pick up a package, and then drive it back to New San Francisco. She gives him a timeline of about 10 days, and if he delivers the goods, then he will have a life in New San Francisco, which is all he's ever wanted. He just wants stability, he wants somewhere to grow old, and it's a really, really good offer, and he's a good enough milkman where it shouldn't be a problem. But in the way things end up popping up, characters end up popping up, and it ends up being a little bit of a difficulty in terms of getting there, getting the package. It seems like anytime he gets ahead, things end up, popping up and becoming a problem. All right, so how was the show? Let's get to it. So as I said, I was hesitant to dive into this show because you have had Sony try to adapt things into movies before and fail miserably. Uncharted, Assassin's Creed, Tomb Raider. Those were video games with really good plots, and Twisted Metal doesn't have that. It's see car, destroy car. It's really a caveman-style simplistic video game. There's not a lot to it. So I was hesitant because I've had bad experiences watching things and getting hyped up for video game-style entertainment in the form of a movie, and in this, a form of a television show. But it's only half-hour episodes, and I figured, okay, in the time it takes me to watch an episode of pretty much anything else, nowadays half-hour shows are kind of dead, everything's an hour, I can determine whether or not it's good or bad. But I also thought it was kind of my duty of running this channel to let people know whether or not they should watch it, because it is a Peacock Original Show, and you do have to pay to watch it. So was it worth your money and time to not only subscribe to Peacock, but also to dive into a show based on a video game? And the answer that I came to was absolutely. This show is so good. Now, what I didn't know going into it, and what I found out later, was this show was adapted from the video game by the people that did Deadpool. You had Rhett Reese, you had Paul Wernick, and it feels a lot like a Deadpool-style show. It could be in the same universe in a way as Deadpool, because you've got the action, you've got the blood and gore, but you also have the comedic element that makes a show that could have taken a dark twist and turn and become uber serious. It makes it fun. And a big part of that was the characters. The characters of John Doe and Quiet, who's played by Stephanie Beatriz, who you might recognize from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, their chemistry in this is tremendous. They have really, really good comedic rapport with each other. I thought their on-screen chemistry was just phenomenal and it added to the show. But also, there's enough in this show that will satisfy the hardcore Twisted Metal fan, or even a guy like me, who I haven't played Twisted Metal since probably Twisted Metal 3, but I grew up with Twisted Metal 2, and I love that game, and I still remember bits and pieces, but the one piece that everybody that's ever played a Twisted Metal game remembers is Sweet Tooth. He is the clown driving an ice cream truck. He has the mask, but his hair is on fire. He's in the show, and he's hysterical. I mean, he's violent as hell, and this show is not for kids, but he does so in a way that you go, oh, okay. I mean, he's not that bad, and then all of a sudden he'll do something, and you're like, oh wow, no, he's like absolutely deranged. They also found a way to incorporate his burning skull, because in the video game, there's the scene of him lighting his hair on fire, and it's like, how do they do that? Well, they found a way to do it in the show. The plot line was there. I mean, like, I was invested. I actively wanted to go back and watch this show. When it came time for me to end and, pack it in for the night, when I was getting home, I was coming back and rewatching, watching the next episode. I got sad when episode 10 ended because I thought it was episode 9. They set it up for a season 2, and I can't wait. Now, I did notice a couple of the characters in the show, and I went, oh, okay, I remember that from the video game. I'm sure there's a lot more that a hardcore fan would recognize. But overall, if you've never played the video game and you're just a fan of a good show with a decent plot, the action, gore and violence doesn't really, scare you off, then Twisted Metal is worth the $5.99 that you would pay on Peacock. So I would say that if you're willing to spend the money, or you already have Peacock, and you might be scared off by the fact that, it's based off a video game, I've seen video game things before, it hasn't been good, don't be. This show was really, really well done. And I cannot wait for season 2. And I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed if you check out Twisted Metal right now on Peacock. And as a part of the video, I ask you guys to please subscribe to the channel. Hit thumbs up if you like this video. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought I sucked. Peacock sucks. Streaming services suck. Twisted Metal sucks. Video games suck. All that. Just smash it. Smash the thumbs down. Be nasty in the comment section. I mean, be real rude. Write something that's going to probably make me cry and regret ever signing up for this channel. But after you do all of that negative stuff, go and watch the show, because it's pretty good.